A park is shaped like a rhombus and has an area of 96 square meters. 40 meters of fencing is needed to enclose this park. Okay. Now it is talking about a rhombus. Rhombus has got all four sides equal. So one of the sides has to be 10 units is something that I get because the perimeter is 40 meters. So 40 divided by 4 is going to give me the side of the rhombus. Right. Now in INR, now of the cost of laying an electric wire along its two diagonal, the rate is 125 rupees per meter, right? And you have to do what? You have to fence it along its diagonal. So you need the diagonal length. That is what the question is talking about. Now understand few properties of a rhombus. A rhombus is a quadrilateral with all four sides equal, but the angles are not 90-degree, because if the angles become 90-degree, then the corner angles becomes 90-degree, then it becomes a square. So it is not a square that you are looking at. So you are looking at 10, 10, 10, and 10. Now there is another property of the diagonals, that the diagonals bisect each other at 90-degree because it is a rhombus. This is also something that you need to remember. So let me take one of the diagonals as 2d1 and let me take another diagonal as 2d2. So now if they bisect each other at 90-degree, then this length will become d1, this length will become d2. So now what all information do I have? Let's try to put it up there. Now d1 square, by Pythagoras theorem applying at this particular triangle, d1 square plus d2 square should turn out to be equals to 10 square, which is 100. Another thing that we know is the area of this rhombus, which is half first diagonal, which is 2d1 into 2d2 into 2d2. This should turn out to be equals to 96. So a 2 gets cancelled out and this will make it 48. So what do we have? We have d1 into d2 turning out to be equals to 48, and we have d1 square plus d2 square as 100. Now what do we need? We need 125 times of the length of the two, sum of the length of the two diagonals, 2d1 plus d2, correct? So we have 250 times of d1 plus d2 is what is required. 250 times of d1 plus d2 is what is required. Now this is the information that I have. I also know that d1 plus d2 whole square, if I do, what will I get? d1 square plus d2 square plus 2 d1 d2, correct? So if I subtract 2 d1 d2, I will be left with what? d1 square plus d2 square, which is present over here, which is how much? 100. So I'm putting this value equals to 100, correct? d1 d2 is something which is 48. 48 into 2 is what? 96. 96 goes on the other side, it becomes 196. So now what are we getting? d1 plus d2 whole square is turning out to be equals to 196. If you look at 196, you will realize it is 14 square. So then what do I have? d1 plus d2 as 14. Now I have not been able to find out the value of d1. I have not been able to find out the value of d2, but I have been able to find out the value of d1 plus d2, which is turning out to be 14, and which is exactly what we need. So what will be the total cost? 250 times of 14. If you solve this, then it is going to be 3,500 as the answer for this question.